So if people do the 5 and are connected, not isolated from others of the palm, that becomes the safety rail protecting people from wandering to the edge of the cliff.
Hey there, welcome to the Real Life series, a series of quick conversations and advice about real life issues that each of us face. Today we're really excited to be joined by Meryem Brown, who is a registered psychologist from the north side of Brisbane, Australia. And today Miriam's going to be chatting with our senior pastor Dan about the topic of anxiety, something that I think many of us have faced, are facing, or will face at some point in our lives. Meryem's going to be sharing some really practical tips and strategies about how to manage our anxiety and stress, especially during this time of COVID.
Unmanaged stress and worry can develop in some people into full-blown anxiety. So I like using the analogy of, like, if this was a cliff and down here are these rocks of anxiety or depression or burnout, some of us live our lives on the edge of the cliff, and it doesn't take much for us, just one more whiff of wind and we're blown onto those rocks. So we need to set up a safety rail 5 meters in from the edge of the cliff, and that to be our lifestyle. And when I did a lot of research a few years ago about what would the safety rail need to be made up of that protects us from falling over the edge of the cliff onto anxiety or whatever, I found that it comes down to, I call it do the 5. Okay, and these are the 5 things, right? The first one, and I've particularly made it the thumb, because out of all our fingers, if we lost any of these fingers, that would be a real bummer, but our thumb is the only opposing digit, the only thing we can grip with. So our thumb actually is a really important finger. So I've chosen the thumb to be sleep. The number one thing is sleep. Because when we sleep, we metabolize or process stress hormones. And if we don't sleep well, if today I got up to 9 out of 10 in stress, if I don't sleep well tonight, tomorrow I'm going to start my day at 9 out of 10 stress. So stress is cumulative. So sleep, particularly between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. is really important. So if I've developed a lifestyle where I'm gaming through the night or not sleeping well, if I become a nocturnal creature,
social media in your bed,
then I'm denying my body the chance to process stress hormones. So sleep is absolutely crucial in my safety rail. That's number one. The second one is nutrition. Like what we eat really affects how we manage stress. So we tend to spike into I'm stressed and then we feel exhausted, and then we spike up into stress and feel exhausted. But if we want to have just a regulated brain chemistry, nice and cool and smooth, we need to eat protein. So if you can chuck protein into every meal of the day, so throw in an egg or some nuts or fish or chicken or yogurt, protein stabilizes brain chemistry and it protects us from stress. So if I'm binging on just lots and lots of take away food and maybe sugary stuff or carbs and not enough protein, I'm setting myself up to wander to the edge of the cliff too. Right? So it's a really simple things.
Sleep and eat well.
Sleep and eat well.
They're
the first two. The middle finger is exercise. When we exercise, we burn up stress hormones and we release those I can cope endorphins. So long as it's not too competitive, because if my ego is really involved in my exercise, I might produce a lot more stress hormones rather than reducing them. But exercise is absolutely vital there. Okay. The fourth one is relaxation and pleasure activities, to really be intentional about shifting down gears. If I'm quite driven and busy, to shift down gears into some things that give me pleasure and relax me. It's like I give my brain this cooling off, shifting down to a lower gear. So do those really intentionally. At least 20 minutes a day and another chunk of about 2 hours a week. Really important. And the last finger, I purposely made it a small one because this one is this really sneaky one, and that is to be really mindful of our thinking, whether it's good thinking or stinking thinking, because there are certain types of thinking that make us more vulnerable to wandering to the edge of the cliff and falling over. For example, perfectionists or people who are all or nothing thinking. I'm either successful in life or I'm a loser. You know, I'm either in or I'm out. That's a black and white, all or nothing thinking. People who don't have a high tolerance for uncertainty, they're finding this pandemic really hard, whereas people who are trying to just live with, well, it might go this way, it might go that way, you know, who can try to do it, have more of that buffer against things going wrong. So people who do the 5, and then I guess the palm is in all that we're connecting with other people, that rather than being isolated. Okay. So if people do the 5 and are connected, not isolated from others, like the palm, that becomes the safety rail, protecting people from wandering to the edge of the cliff. If I make that my lifestyle.
I love it. So practical. That's awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Meryem. For those of us who have already fallen off the cliff and are in that place, just quickly, what's your advice?
Yes, because the 5 won't necessarily bring them back up. Yeah. So there's a lot of help available now, and the government's put a lot of money now into setting up online support services, Beyond Blue and others that people will see on the screen after we talk, that they can access, and some of that stuff is free too. There's a lot of help out there. So can I just say there's no shame in having fallen off the edge of the cliff, but if I recognise I am down there, we actually need somebody to come and help us come back up again. We usually can't pull ourselves up. We need some help.
Yeah, we need help. That's really good advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Meryem, for that really practical advice and strategies for managing our stress and anxiety. If you or a loved one are struggling with your mental health during this time, we really encourage you to connect with support, whether it's a trusted friend, a GP, or head to the Beyond Blue website at beyondblue.org.au for some more support during this time. Otherwise, if you'd like to find out more about what's happening in the life of LifePoint Church or connect further with our community, we would love to hear from you. You can head to lifepoint.org.au, fill out the form, and we'll get in contact with you. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us today for the Real Life series. If you'd like to keep up to date with what's happening or watch more of our series, make sure that you subscribe to this channel and get connected into our community. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.